You guys, thanks for doing this. This is Julian and Amy, if you guys have not met them. Julian and Amy Jennings. You know the first question. You don't? Do you have a microphone? Come on, babe.
Forgot. No, I don't know the first question. What do you got?
It's the hardest one. And we talk about this every time. It's the hardest question. How long have you been married?
Oh, we've been married for almost 15 years.
Nailed that.
December.
Awesome.
Yeah. The key is you make your passwords all the day you were married. So every single day, multiple times a day, you always have that.
Yes.
So now you all know my password for Amazon or whatever.
Yeah. We don't do the same thing, I promise.
I've changed it.
Yeah, no one should know that. So, give us a little clue as to some keys, some things in your marriage that have really helped you guys grow healthy, helped you guys grow strong as a couple. Besides Julian, besides a luxurious beard, what are some things that have kept you guys strong?
Yeah, when I first got married, I didn't have any facial hair, so I wasn't quite as good of a husband until I started growing it. No, but seriously, I was, there's been a lot of people who've kind of gone before, and so we were kind of thinking, okay, what can we give in like a 5-minute, explanation for what's been important? And so something that I was really thinking about is leadership. So as a husband, how do you lead well? So when I first got married, we got married young, I was 21, and we had all the good intentions of getting married, but I think when I first started getting married, it was almost like, if you know me, Amy knows this about me, I tend to just allow things to happen organically. So I'm going to be married, I'm going to love my wife, and we're just going to figure it out as we go along, and things will organically happen. And and I think it's not always a bad approach, but I think for me, over time, it turned into not really leading. I really wasn't leading. I was just kind of doing the things I thought were right without intentionality. And over time, probably in the first 5 years of our marriage, I think really through Amy's prompting, really wanting me to spiritually lead, kind of discovering how to intentionally lead well, and more than just being a good Christian man. Like, how do I cast vision for my family, cast vision for my wife, take responsibility on my shoulders for how are we going to lead our family in a way that's going to be the right thing for us. And so, looking to Jesus, leadership isn't just telling people what to do. So being a good leader as a husband is not just telling your wife, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it, and you have to follow me. You see Jesus kind of is stepping out in front of hard problems, tackling things, taking responsibility, and inviting people along with him, all the while building them up, helping them become, the version that God sees in them. And so really it's more of a collaborating process with your spouse, and that took time to kind of develop in our relationship where I'm not the type of person to just tell her what to do. At the same time, I had to do a better job of taking the reins and kind of leading in a way that she could follow in a way that improved her life and who she was before God. I was able to kind of pour into her and develop personality, that God wanted to see in her. And it ends up kind of making your relationship better. And so one way I was thinking, so my job, I'm a physician assistant, so my main job is I'm in surgery most of the time. So I have to work hand in hand with surgeons. And that kind of relationship is almost similar to a marriage where you're both there trying to achieve a common goal. And certain surgeons are type A personalities. They kind of tell you this is how it's going to be. And that's the way they approach it. But a lot of the surgeons I work with over time, been doing it for 11 years, we have this relationship where they've built into me, I've built into them, and so now we're able to, achieve a common purpose with in surgery, and at times I'm able to help them in a way that maybe they didn't see something, keep them out of trouble, and the same thing goes with me, and they're very responsive to how you think should go. And what happens is you have a better patient outcome. I really believe that in that environment. I don't feel like I'm a second-class citizen because I'm physician assistant and he's physician or she's physician. And it's very similar, I think, for how a marriage goes, is like ultimately the responsibility is on me as the husband for what we're doing as a family, but at the same time, she has an equal share in our decisions. And how to strike that balance, I think, is tough early in marriage, but over time, as you develop each other's trust, you can lead in a way that they don't feel like they're just following. They trust you, and ultimately you're both trying to achieve a common purpose, which is, a spiritually fulfilling marriage and family.
Yeah, dude, so good. Tons of wisdom there. How about you, Amy?
Yeah, so I think there's so many things. Marriage teaches you over time so many things. But one thing I zeroed in on was Julian and I, again, probably like 5 or 7 years into our marriage, really made the decision to confess to one another. And I don't mean just confession in the sense of when you do something wrong, although that's included. I also mean just this consistent pattern of confessing, confiding in each other about what we're struggling with. I think it's easy as a human being to be intimate with someone, your spouse, on certain levels, but also still hide things from them. And it's easy to do that. You can just hide the things you're thinking, the things you're struggling with. But we really made a decision to confess consistently to each other. And in regards to the first, when we sin against each other, it's part of God's healing plan, not only for us just as human beings, but especially in a marriage. That helps promote healing and growth in the marriage when you acknowledge what you've done, when you confess it to one another, and couple it with forgiveness, consistent, all the time forgiveness. But also, I think the other hand, where you're always confiding in each other about what you're struggling with, things you are dealing with personally, you are better able to support one another. You're better able to come alongside each other and say, I'm going to carry this with you. And you don't grow lonely in your marriage. Also, you're better able to pray for each other, pray with each other. And you grow closer because you're really laying bare your soul to this person that, besides God, is really supposed to be the one who's closest to you. And I think it helps you to also learn how to better love that person the way they need to be loved. So being intimate, laying bare your soul, encouraging each other forward, that's what confession has done for us, certainly. And I think all of that really needs to be under the umbrella that we've learned that that's really only possible when you have the correct view of your spouse. I know I needed to learn that he wasn't going to be my ultimate source of happiness. That's only something God can fulfill. He's also not going to be my savior, and he's not going to be my healer. We can have a healthy relationship where we do have happiness, right? But that's not what I'm looking for in him ultimately. So that frees us to be able to confess and show our imperfections.
That's so good. I think we'd agree, too, that like nothing can damage a marriage quicker or tear apart a marriage even than pride, right? And when you're, that's a position of humility that you're talking about, when you confess to the other person, say, hey, I didn't get this right. I messed up here. This is kind of, this is where I went awry. That's a position of humility. And more often than not, that's so well received. And what a great place to start from, that's so healthy. That's so good. I hope that's helpful, you guys. Can we thank them?